Today we're going to be talking about the eighth house. I really want to talk about this house because recently I had a situation that was challenging. And I can tell you that the situation was it was so strong, the energy. It was so negative that I know for a fact if I did not study these energies out, okay? I'm just gonna keep it all the way funky. I would have flipped out. Um, but after discovering the houses and the energies that certain people have in their planets, charts, I swear I approached this situation with so much calm, so much confidence, so much reassurance that it is what it is. And energies will play out as they shall be. Um, so I wanted to talk about the eighth house. And it was some interesting things I found out about the eighth house. Now, I definitely want to say if you don't have eighth house astrology, if you're not interested in it, there's really no need to listen any further. Okay. But I want to talk to those who have eighth house, and this is probably not going to be the final all in all episode, because this house is deep. There's another couple of houses that I want to deal with too that are very deep. So I just want to address, this. So looking into the eighth house, though, this is just general eighth house. It doesn't matter what sign it is. I'm not covering that. I'll go into more details later on when we start talking about eighth house, whatever the house is it's in. Um, but I just want to talk about eighth house, period. Okay. So give me a second. Okay. If you have eighth house in your chart, this type of person has most likely been through some shit in their lives. And when I say been through some shit in their lives, I'm talking about unpleasant shit, turbulent things, painful changes, um, things that fucked with their consciousness, that caused them emotional injury. And sometimes the emotional injury was so deep and so devastating, it felt like they were going through torture. Torture in the mind, torture in the souls, torture in the spirit that nobody could see. So a lot of times you may find out that an eighth house person, they may have some issues in their childhood. Okay. So you may find that they had like a really, really rough childhood, um, where they were probably severely punished, or they were, probably slaved out. Their parents probably wanted them to do a lot of chores. They probably was put down a lot as a child. Um, so a lot of people with the eighth house, you may find, not all now. Now let me go ahead and put my disclaimer. When I talk about anything on this channel, I'm never talking about a specific group of people because it varies. It's because we are all raised, once again, in different communities, different religions. We're different people. We're different. So, like we're different, we all come here with different astrology charts, live different lives. This is why you will see some people, are blessed with luxuries and some people are not. And it's not because you can't get it, it's because that's not the life that you're supposed to be living. Because maybe if you live that life, you may think that that's going to give you happiness. But in all actuality, it won't. Maybe that's that karma that that person has to go through. So again, just going back, you may find out that this person, had a very rough childhood. And you may find that this person not only had a rough childhood, but as they grow up in adulthood, they may even still have problems in relationships with people. Mainly like one-on-one relationships, like intimate partnerships. But we'll get into that later. You may find that a person with eighth house, they have a lot of, like, they dream a lot, but they don't dream and forget about it and be, putting on makeup and cloud nine. They have dreams that are deep. Okay. And sometimes their dreams are repeated. So they may have like the same kind of dream over and over again, or they may have continuous dreams, or they may dreams of spirits. And not only spirits of dreams, you may find that a person with eighth house spirits, smell spirits, or feel spirits around them. Okay. So when you're dealing with a person who is kind of darkness, that energy, that in depth, situation where nobody can really understand, you may find that a person who has a lot of eighth house in their chart, they may have a great interest in the occult, magic, paranormal studies. They may like to watch a lot of scary movies. They may like to still like tell scary stories, or they may like to be scared. I don't know. That's something. But you may find that a person with an eighth house likes that, or they may like watch like a lot of criminal shows, like ID and investigation discoveries and things like that. They may be very interested in shows like that. Okay. You may find that a lot of people with eighth house are not really into the superficial lifestyle. I mean, they'll look at it, they'll watch it, they'll, fiddle with it a little bit, but they're not going to be engulfed in it, like other people who don't hold this energy in their chart. So, you know, when you're dealing with a person who is on the darker side of life and may have experiencing things that, are kind of traumatic, you may find that this person may be an excellent spiritual cheater. Not, oh my God, teacher. Oh my goodness. But cheater, yes. Eighth house, yes. Okay. Eighth house. I saw that people with a lot of eighth house, not only, do they have that dark side where things are dark, they're into dark studies, paranormal things, all that. They also have another side of them that is sexual. And when I say sexual, I mean like heavy, heavy sexuality. Okay. So you may find that a person with a lot of eighth house in their chart, um, they may, live like a promiscuous lifestyle, or they may be interested in living a promiscuous lifestyle. Um, you may find a lot of like people who are into adult movies or maybe want to go into doing adult films may have a lot of eighth house in their chart. They definitely do have a kinky side. Not only that, people with this type of energy, once they get a grip on it, and they apply certain energies to whatever they want to focus on, they can really conjure up some certain powers within whatever they're focused on. But sometimes you'll find that if people are not focused and they don't have like a goal in mind of what they want to pour power into and receive power from, sometimes these energies are so strong inside that they can't really explain. They don't know where it's coming from. They don't know why they feel certain ways. If they're not, controlling the energies, you may find that a lot of them, even at a young age, okay, may had in some way experienced some type of mental crisis, um, that led them to like a psychiatric ward, or maybe a place where they needed to seek counsel. So you may find that a lot of people with eighth house, if you talk to them, you may find out that as a child, they may have been, talking to a counselor about child abuse that they may have experienced, um, or all kinds of things, you know, that may have led them to seek counsel. So you may find that, if they're not sure of the energy, if they don't know why things are happening, they're extremely stressed out. And if they don't realize that they have a lot of power in their chart and they have a lot of power within, it can cause them stress and it can mentally break these people down, from ordinary life. You have this energy or these houses or eighth house in your chart, just know that it's not you. Okay. And, you know, anybody who has this kind of energy in their chart are very, very powerful people. And sometimes I don't think they realize how much power they have. So, going back to the promiscuous behavior, which, when you talk, when I first started looking into the eighth house and other houses, I when people talk about the eighth house, it's everybody's scared of it. They think it's a problematic person that they're going to have to come across. Somebody who's behaving strangely, who's lost in their head, so on and so forth. They don't really get a chance to see the other side. And when I saw the other side, I was like, whoa, eighth house, close your legs, stop, just put it away. So I didn't even know that. So when somebody has a powerful sexual energy in their chart, house may find that they have the power to attract people to them. Um, and they can attract people from all walks of life. They can attract people who at first seems like they're not going to be able to attract them, but they are able to attract them. Okay. Because they have like a higher spirit, a higher being in them that is like a magnetic to other persons, that want to be close to that person in the eighth house. Because it's a lot of secretiveness, it's a lot of sexiness, it's a lot of this allure, this blur that people want to get into. So you may find that a lot of people in the eighth house have ex-husbands, ex-wives, um, and you may find that they've been through the marriage thing, they're not trying to go back there, and they're just ready to hang out and chill their thing, but they can't really do their thing because they now have that ex-husband, that ex-wife, who they're no longer with, they're no longer living with them, but for some reason they're now stalking them and threatening them, um, and they're like a target now to relationships. that they may have formed with people. And it's only because of the depthness that an eighth house person um, experiences with other people. So once people, because, eighth house people, like I said, anybody who has eighth house in their chart, it's not easy for them. They're not having an easy time. They may look like they're having an easy time, but they're not having an easy time. And I also wanted to point this out to you too. You may notice that a lot of people with eighth house, and we'll talk about the little traits that they have too. But a lot of people with eighth house, you may see, like, if you look at their face, they're attractive. There's something sexy and alluring about them, but it's also something about them that's kind of like mean. Like, they may look like they're mean, or they may look like they're about to curse you out, or not only that, like, not in that fucked up way, but when you see a person who has a lot of eighth house in their chart, you may notice that there's something strict about them, militant about them. You know, these people will have something strong about them in their nature. Okay. So anyway, just just besides all that, like I was saying before, okay, they have a lot of depthness with them. So, you know, an eighth house person, you may find that, a lot of relationships, you know what I mean? Unfortunately, they decided to end it. And they decided to end it because there was a lot of suffering and love. Eighth house person may, have experienced a lot of violation and humiliation when it came down to relationships. A lot of eighth house people, from my research, I even found that a lot of them got married at a very, very young age. And they may have went into it naive. But as they grew older with that partner, they may have been able to see deeper, because again, this is a very deep house. So you may find that they were able to go really deep and discover some things. And then again, they have decided to liquidate the relationship. Um, so you may find that a lot of people with eighth house energy may have about more than 2 marriages on their belt. Okay. I'm not sure where that's coming from and why that is. But I guess once this video is published, maybe I'll read it in the comments if that is true. So if it's not like 2 marriages, then it's definitely like maybe like 2 engagements that they've had, or something that was serious and it was a double of that. Okay. Um But understand, just because they had a double of 2 marriages doesn't mean that things ended up on the good side, okay? You may hear some stories from an eighth house person that has experienced like a painful breakup. They may have been in a physical abusive relationship. They may have stories of where they were threatened by ex-lovers. You may hear stories from them where they were stalked by ex-partners for years. And you may find that a lot of people with the eighth house, they may be in court fighting with exes over property, over money, over assets, over wealth. Um, it's funny because you may even find that like a lot of like women who have like eighth house in their chart, they don't have like really big breasts. A lot of them have like small breasts, but maybe like a big behind, okay? A big bazooka tank. Um, So you may even find that there is a lot of sexual energy that is dispersed from a person with an eighth house. And trust me, they've been through some shit in some relationships. They don't want to get into it. But people, for some reason, are attracted to them. So they have a lot of sexuality with them. Sexually serious, seriously sexy. That's what I call the eighth house. A place with phobias, scared of heights, deals in darkness, understands death. Into occult and understanding. Um, Very health conscious. You know, they're kind of like Virgos in a way too. They're very sterile. You may find that a lot of people with eighth house, you know, they have like very sterile environments. If it's not a sterile environment, it's definitely a sterile. You may find that they have a lot of sterile bathroom. They're definitely probably taking a lot of vitamins. They're into exercising. Um, and they're into things that other people are not. But anyway, going back, so in regards to the men now who got eighth house, okay, you may find that they're physically fit, really sexy, and they can lay that pipe down. Whew, hot. Um, but you know, they lay in the pipe. Is the pipes is being laid down, but off sometimes as strange, cold, distant, um, wanting to be by themselves, or you know, always doing their own thing. You know, so for some reason, their partners may complain that a man with the eighth house, he just doesn't seem like he is that comforting and that warm, because for some reason he likes his space. He does enjoy home, but he also enjoys isolation for some reason, and being separate and withdrawn from people. So I don't know. Again, this is something that I researched. um, But let's talk about the career side of things. If you have a lot of eighth house in your chart, from what I've researched, okay, it looks like a lot of people, for some reason, have a strong urge to study medicine. So you may hear about people who have like a lot of eighth house in their chart are doctors, pharmacists, chiropractors, herbalists, massage therapists. They work in an old folks home, or they're phlebotomists. They work in the surgery room. So you may hear that a lot of people with a lot of eighth house, for some reason or another, they want to graduate in the study of medicine, or they have graduated in the study of medicine. So that's another good thing too, because if you have a lot of eighth house in your chart, you know you're dealing with a lot of dark energy. Okay, I could see that just by the research. It's a lot of depthness in there. So what I was talking about earlier about, not focusing that energy, because it's a lot of power when you have this in your chart. You have a lot of power within. Instead of bugging out, flipping out, going to see the psychologist, okay? You can take that energy and you can maybe focus on science. Anything with the study of medicine. So you want to go deep. So you may even be interested in really deep, deep surgery, like emergency room. You may be good with crisis hotlines, or, counseling. Because even though the eighth house has a lot of power, things can get out of control easily and powerfully. You can take that energy and you can form it and you can mold it and you can apply it, towards causes, people, rescue, emergency situations where it will give that person a sense of peace and comfort. And that will be the spiritual exchange of using this energy, um, that you have within. I mean, The energy of the eighth house is so strong. Like I said, when I mentioned earlier about dealing with magic and dealing with things like that, I don't deal with stuff like that. Um, but you may, another thing too, if you have a lot of eighth house in your chart, you may even found that you've been around magic. So even if you don't deal with magic, you may know of people who have dealt with magic. You may have seen the darker side of things when it comes down to voodoo, magic, occult, things that you can do on the darker side with power that can turn things in people's favor. Um, so again, yeah, that's the eighth house. So I'm not gonna go ahead and end this. I think I've been talking a little bit long. Okay, I've been just chit chatting my ass off. But today is September 1st. Okay, I just been through some shit for the month of August. I mean, I kind of want to talk about it, but then I kind of don't. But I've been through some shit for the month of August. August was hard, but it was good because I was able to go in depth with study. When I went into depth with study, I was able to see the energy. I understood the energy. And instead of me tripping and flipping, okay, um, I recognized it for what it was. And I said, you know what? Just like I'm talking about the eighth house now, okay? Instead of flipping and tripping and bugging out, I took the negative energy and I said, you know what? I'm going to take this motherfucker and I'm going to apply it to something successful, okay? So whoever was fucking with me during that time, we're going to compare some notes. Compare the notes of when you was fucking with me and when I took that power that you was giving me that was negative. And I could have folded with that, but I didn't. I took that motherfucker and I worked with it. And we'll see the results from the power within. So when I'm talking about the eighth house, I want you to understand it in that context. It's a deep house. And I'm about to go deeper because there's another house I'm gonna cover after eighth. You know, there's eighth and all this other shit that I gotta cover. So I got some other shit I want to talk about too, but eighth house people, man, when I looked into that energy, I said, how do you guys get through? How do you make it? How do you fight? Help others, eighth house. Help those in crisis. Help those in need. Help those who need help. Use your power for the good. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. And thank you for listening.